And we're back for some Combat Corner. Max is going to walk us through some UFC action from this weekend. Max, I will leave it to you. Take it away, my friend.
Yeah, I've got a couple fights on the weekend I want to recap and talk about a little. Try and keep this segment somewhat quick as our NHL one ran on pretty long. So try and keep the episode not too long. But a couple of fights I can't not talk about. I think the biggest, most important one is the one in the UFC's premier lightweight division between two top 15 app killers, Diego Ferreira and Gregor Gillespie. And boy, this fight absolutely lived up to that billing as a fight between top contenders in the best division because it was so much fun, especially the grappling. There were so many fun scrambles. My favorite one was the first one. I mean, just Gillespie came out. He was getting his reads, getting his timing. You saw him faking for the takedowns and seeing what Ferreira's defense towards that was. He figured out that he could get Ferreira moving towards him and then that he was quick enough to get in on the takedown. And once he figured that out, he started going to it nonstop after setting it up with a few fakes. But off the first one, he went for a single leg, pulled it up. Ferreira showed crazy good balance, bouncing on the one leg. Ferreira kicks the other leg out. Gillespie kicks the other one out. Ferreira lands on it, catches it, but it gives Gillespie the time to switch to a body lock, which he drove forward. Ferreira went down, but rolled, grabbed onto a leg, started looking for a leg lock. Gillespie went on a backpack, and then it kept going. And all of that happened in about 4 seconds. And it was just that kind of action nonstop throughout, especially the first round, which was an absolute grueling pace for both fighters. Just so much energy being exerted and so much focus. Don't mess up or you're going to have one of your limbs snapped or yourself choked out. Not to mention the haymakers, especially Ferreira was throwing on the feet. But in the second round, Gillespie managed to find top control and just maintain it. He stayed on top. Ferreira threw everything and the kitchen sink at Gillespie from the bottom, looking for triangles, arm bars, omoplata sweeps, and Gillespie just stayed on top of all of it, read it, always made the next move, went ahead and started looking for the finish in 50 different ways, going between ground and pound, different kinds of chokes, whether he had him belly down, whether it was a more traditional top mount. He just kept going, kept pushing through, even though he was also clearly exhausted. And eventually Ferreira, after fighting off finish attempt after finish attempt after finish attempt and just barely being able to survive, eventually found himself flattened out, belly down, with Gillespie just pounding on him, tapping the ears, and the ref, there was no intelligent defense going on. And right as the round was ending, Gillespie gets the second round win by TKO. An absolutely brilliant, impressive performance by him. Such a great showing after that Lee fight to go. And I talked about in the pre-fight, is he gonna play it safe in the grappling? No, he went for it. He had no fear. He showed himself more than capable of handling some of the best jiu-jitsu in the game, certainly in the division. So congratulations to Gillespie. That was an awesome fight, and I hope to see him cracking the top 10, top 5 very soon in his next, because I think a win needs to be rewarded, and I want to see fresh blood getting a crack and lots of attempted movement, at least through the division. Dan Hooker would be a very, very fun one. Next fight, Neil Magny versus Jeff Neal. This one surprised me a little. I had Jeff Neal rated pretty highly as a prospect, and he kind of disappointed. He landed a couple times. I think the most damage in the fight came early in the first round when he landed on Magny, but Magny weathered it well. You saw every time he got uncomfortable, he was able to space out the distance that he wanted, and that was kind of the story of the fight. Jeff Neal couldn't find an answer to Magny's distance and range management. When it was at Magny's preferred range. He could land, Neil couldn't. When Neil tried to close in, then Magny was really able to stiff arm him, weaken the power of Neil on a lot of his attempts. And Neil looked a little lost in there or something to me. Like he kept just trying to clinch up Magny against the cage, but he wasn't doing anything offensively with it. Like he wasn't getting off elbows or body shots or knees. I think Magny was landing more with his back against the cage than Neil was landing holding him against the cage. Um, and like I mentioned, he did land hard early in that first round. So I felt like you've got to find a way to like dip under the jab, push through, and like get in that uncomfortable range for Magny and deal with the stiff arms and land there. And Neil really just hardly did any of that. So the second and third rounds, the third round was very clear for Magny. He really ramped up the striking as the fight went on. And sometimes I wish scoring weighed the third round more heavily, just because it's almost like the sum of after the first two rounds, especially when it's the most dominant after two closer rounds. I thought the second round was fair game to Magny too. A great performance by him after that Chiesa fight, showing the value of being in the UFC for such a long time, having seen so many different styles. And I talked before this fight about how there are both had tasted like that elite wall and been found lacking. Well, I think Neil Tess faced a wall that was lower than Wonder Boy for sure, but still one that he doesn't have an answer for, and something he's going to have to go back and work on. The cardio, the answer to range, and maybe just the adversity or perseverance to adapt when the fight isn't going your way, because the more the fight went on, especially in the second round, that he kept going to that clinch and then not doing anything with it. And I really could not understand what his game plan was there. Then the last fight that happened on the main card I want to talk about was Cowboy Cerrone versus Alex Morono. I said before, maybe this is it for Cowboy. If he can't win here, it might be time for him to hang it up. And Morono getting the finish in the first round. He didn't absolutely blitz Cowboy like some guys have, but he was throwing heavy, looking for it, but staying patient. He didn't make the Alex Hernandez mistake where you just charge in and present your body as this awesome target for Cowboy's knees. But Cowboy, like normally if he survives those first couple minutes, he starts finding his rhythm, finding his timing, and getting the combos on through some weird body kick selections, like just tough timing. The rhythm didn't quite look there. The shot selection seems like it was putting him into danger. And sure enough, he like gets countered off a jab attempt where he doesn't put up any defense after throwing his jab. Morono throws a heavy hook, catches Cowboy hard, and yeah, like Cowboy just looked like he was praying that Morono would go away in that finishing sequence. He really didn't have anything to offer up. An awesome body shot in there and just continuing the heavy hands. I think with Cowboy, like we've seen his best at lightweight when he, after beating Mike Perry, moves down to face Hernandez, to face Al Iaquinta, and was looking really impressive then. But those losses to Ferguson and Gaethje at lightweight, the McGregor loss, and you saw a couple times against Morono, he's just the smaller guy at welterweight. Like he can't use the grappling as an escape in the same way to set up something different. And yeah, so if he doesn't want to cut to lightweight and take it at the seriousness level that he needs to, it just doesn't seem like he has much left at welterweight either. But not to take anything away from the performance from Morono, because he looked fantastic. I think he set the pace perfectly for Cowboy with pressure, but not anything too stupid to get caught by something easy, and some awesome heavy hands and great finishing instincts in that sequence. So congrats to Alex Morono. All right. I know I haven't gotten to the main event. Marina Rodriguez won. I didn't knock out Waterson. I really don't know where the strawweight division is at right now with Rose and Zhang. I don't know if Joanna's still in there. Maybe Joanna will fight Rodriguez. That could be interesting for the next title shot. Also, Angela Hill versus Amanda Ribas getting canceled the day of because Ribas tested positive for COVID, unfortunately, which that was a fight I was really excited for. And Angela Hill has had some rotten luck this year, man. She's had like 4 fights canceled, I think, within the last calendar year. So tough for her. Hopefully she can get a fight booked soon, and hopefully she got her show money. All right, that's going to wrap up this Combat Corner. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll be right back.